Hi kids, how are you?
Everybody, I'm Zeke, and welcome back to Sour Cinema. This one, as you can tell just by the length, this is a pretty huge ass Sour Cinema. And today, we are doing the infamous Walking Dead. Also, just a disclaimer before this, I've typed up my entire rough outline for the video, so you're gonna see me looking at my monitor a lot. Sorry if it's distracting, but I'm not good at memorizing lines or anything like that. There's people walking in my house. Today I wanted to talk about The Walking Dead. I wanted to give my review of The Walking Dead. If you guys did not hear the news, the show is officially coming to an end. So I thought that in light of this news, I would give my opinion on the show, because the show has had a major impact on my life. That doesn't mean I like it, but it's had a major impact, and I did want to talk about that at some point today. Now, I have some reasons for why I'm not waiting until the end of the show to give my full review on the series, because right now I've only seen up to, most of Season 9, about, close to the end of Season 9. I only have the show on Netflix. I don't have, DVD or anything like that, so I've only seen up to Season 9. That's as far as I have it. I don't have the motivation or the patience to watch it on cable. And also, I just completely lost my motivation to keep watching after Rick and Carl left. I wanted to see the end of All Out War, but after that, it was too hard to keep watching. It was too much, especially Rick. For those of you that don't know The Walking Dead, I will just give a quick synopsis on the show. It all starts off, you see Rick Grimes, a police officer in King County, Georgia, with his buddy cop, Shane, both really good friends, and a shootout happens in their area. In the shootout, Rick gets shot, and he goes into a coma in the hospital, and he sees that he's in the middle of the zombie apocalypse, or Walker apocalypse. Now, talking about that, just a little fun fact for you guys about the show. Robert Kirkman, the writer of the comic show, which the show was derived from, pitched it to Dark Horse Comics, and he brought up that it was a zombie apocalypse, but they said it was too unoriginal. It's too unoriginal of an idea, not exciting or unique enough. So he lied to them and repitched it, saying that it was actually aliens that started the apocalypse. They loved it, so they went with it. But when he actually started to write the show, he just went with what he wanted to do originally. But he had to kind of keep that under wraps, so the universe that he created for The Walking Dead, the idea of zombies actually doesn't exist. The idea of, corpses coming back to life, that doesn't exist in The Walking Dead universe. So you see throughout the show, everybody comes up with different names for the zombies, and some of them are really cool, some of them really suck. Of course, the famous Walker, probably the coolest name. There's Biter, Geek, Lame Brain, and then later on, for some reason, they just come up with cheap knockoffs of Walker. There's Roamer, and I think Rambler is one. I think I heard Shuffler one time. I might be wrong, but yeah, after a while they just got real lazy, and Roamer, who would call them that? Rodder was one. Yeah, some of them really sucked. But yeah, he wakes up in essentially the Walker apocalypse, and he goes on a journey to try and find his family, find his wife and his son, Carl and Lori, and from then on, once he finds them, it's basically just about him and his group of survivors evolving with the world as they survive. You see them become completely different people. You see them go from people trying to hold on to what the world was to literally just holding on to their lives. And you see them do some horrible things, but you also kind of understand why they do it. So that's what the whole show's about. After Season 1, the plot becomes vaguer, because that's not really the focus of the show. The focus was never really what happened. It's not The Last of Us. The Last of Us had a clear goal and plot to it, of trying to get Ellie to the Fireflies. That's not really in The Walking Dead. You could argue that that is because the show has been going on for a long time, probably longer than it should have, but we'll talk about that later on. That is definitely going to be mentioned. For reviewing the show for me, I've got a process that I'm going to be doing this in. I'm going to start off by reviewing each individual season that I've seen, judging them on their own values. I will be judging each season on the basis of new characters, enemy of the season, group dynamic, walker threat, and the season finale. After that, I'll just find the average of all those scores, see if that can come to play later on in our final score, and then I'll be discussing the main characters on their own basis if I didn't touch on them enough reviewing each individual season. Just talking about each of them if I need to. That will be unscripted, so it might be kind of hard to edit. Sorry, Zane. And then after that, I will be giving just my overall closing thoughts on the show, just some positives and negatives of the show. Again, that'll also be unscripted. After I do that, just my final score of the show, and that'll kind of be the end of my journey for Walking Dead, which is crazy. I'm not going to be talking about the spin-off shows. Fuck the spin-off shows. I don't care. They just feel like cash grabs. But anyway, that's enough talking for now. We will just get right into reviewing each individual season on their own. Starting with new characters. Every single important character in this season had fantastic introductions, in my opinion. Rick, waking up in the hospital with his gunshot, meeting Morgan, seeing that he was very adapted to the world, like he wasn't afraid to kill Rick, you could clearly tell, and he even says that later on in the show. He said, like, Rick says, like, why didn't you kill me? And he's like, because my son was there. But, like, he was clearly willing to. The real reveal of who Rick's family is, because you just see them as, like, as the camp in Atlanta. Lori was with Shane, but it didn't actually reveal that that was Lori until you saw Rick pull out a picture of his family. And then that was kind of a moment like, oh shit. I already knew who they were because I saw some stuff on The Walking Dead. But I saw that reveal and I was like, oh damn, that's actually a really good reveal. Seeing Shane being a really good friend to him at the beginning when he got shot and everything, that was nice to see, because that really establishes the cool dynamic that they'll have later on in the show. Glenn had a great one with the walkie, calling him a dumbass. That was awesome. One of the biggest ones, which didn't get touched on a lot, but it got touched on just enough, I think, was Dr. Jenner. And you could just clearly see he doesn't care anymore, because he knows that there's no getting out of this. That, like, well, he said it himself. He called it the extinction event. That, like, really stuck with the show, and I really like that. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in the season finale discussion. Enemy threat and walker threat were pretty much the same in this season. At the time, people weren't the assholes that they become in the apocalypse, because you see throughout the show clearly that you gotta do some shitty things to stay alive. But that doesn't happen yet. You still get a ton of people trying to be good people, so they really only focus on the walkers in the first season, which is alright. I mean, they touch on the Vatos a little bit. Like, they show that some people can be assholes, but then it's revealed that the Vatos are good people, so it kind of gets rid of that threat, which I thought was kind of weird. I do think it was a better idea to reveal people to be horrible people, like other groups being threats. I think that was a lot better fitting in season 2, but it felt a bit weird here, because it felt like they were, like, trying to, but then didn't want to. But walkers, when you first see them, they're terrifying. Like the fish fry, that was legitimately scary. And, like, later on they're not, but there's a reason for that. But yeah, walkers, really good in the first season. There does seem to be some plot conveniences with the walkers. Like, sometimes they do things that they don't do later on, and I think that's just kind of to make them scarier. Like, you'll see them sometimes, like, they won't make noise until you see them, but then other times they'll be moaning from, like, a mile away, and it'll be like, oh, look, walker. So, yeah, it's weird, but I'll talk about that later. I'm saying that a lot, sorry. If it makes it easier for you guys, I should have said this at the beginning, but there are going to be timestamps for parts of this that I will have in the description, and you'll see them hopefully in the timeline of the video too. But yeah, if you just like want to focus on one part of the video, like me talking about characters, giving my overall thoughts, or like just one season, you can totally just skip to that at any time point that it's at. Moving on to group dynamic. There wasn't much of one, except for Rick and Shane kind of debating on like what to do, which was good. But again, at the beginning, they weren't really focusing on the group yet. They weren't focusing on people. They were focusing on walkers, which fit. It did fit, but because of that, the group dynamic was kind of weak. Like, the best part about it was, like, you saw Rick trying to keep things moral, keep things ethical, keep them human, like trying to save Merle, giving some of the guns to the Vatos to save the old people, them trying to go to the CDC instead of Fort Benning. But you clearly see that Shane just wants to look out for the group. Like, he wants to make sure that the group is okay. And you see that slow tick of him becoming the survivor instead of just the dude, you know. That was really interesting. But overall, that's kind of it for group dynamic. There wasn't much of one. And then finally, season finale of the season. The CDC visit was great. Once you were done watching it, it left that feeling of just, like, the grimness. Because you know that there's just no chance of coming back from this. Everybody always, like, kind of, like, teases at it, like it's going to happen. Like you hear, like Andrea says at one point, and when they talk about this in the history books, they're gonna talk about Woodbury, and then like Eugene says, this is a story that people are gonna tell. But that never happens, which I like though. It works for the world because it gives that good conflict of what's the point. You hear so many people say that, and it works. It does work for this kind of show. And the CDC was just the final nail in the coffin for all that. Literally and figuratively. And also just not having a clue what it is. It's interesting because it adds a really cool thing to the show, which is, Robert Kirkman said it, it's like, no, there will never be a chance of curing this because no one knows what it is. And I really like that because it leaves it open. And you could argue, I guess, if you want to be cynical, that it can just, that, like, leaving something vague like that can just, like, let the writing be convenient for it. Which, like, we can talk about, like, the we're all infected thing in the next season. I probably will. But I still think that that was a really nice thing to do. Was just, like, him saying, there's, like, we don't know what it is. There cannot be a cure. This is the extinction event for humanity. You have to accept it. Which made, like, the building going up scene really powerful. Overall score for the season, 8 out of 10. Definitely one of the best seasons. This show started off extremely strong. The opening of the show, like, this was my favorite pilot in a show ever. Starting off with new characters. I was kind of iffy on the farm family. I really liked how, like, Rick and his group knew walkers are a clear threat, and then they don't understand what it is because they've just been closed off, only watching the news. That was really nice to see, them being completely delusional about them with the barn and everything. But the individual characters were pretty annoying. Herschel I didn't have a problem with. I liked Herschel. But Maggie, Blue Ball, and Glenn was pretty annoying. Beth was useless. I've never liked Beth. We'll talk about her later though in the character discussion. And oh my god, Patricia had the worst actress on the show ever. So bad. I mean, bitch, you are
getting eaten alive and you can't even scream properly.
Oh god, it's hard to watch. So yeah, new characters are alright. I will be mentioning Randall in the enemy section though, which we will get into right now. I surprisingly loved Randall's group. I can see why people wouldn't, but, or I should say I at least like the idea of Randall's group, you know, because I actually think it was a super, super smart move to not show the group except for Randall, because you can keep that really interesting debate that the group has of, like, are they actually a threat, or are we just chasing a ghost here? And I really, really like, that was an extremely smart move, you know? Because Dale tries to argue that, like, we don't even know if he's done anything, he's just a kid. But they're all looking at it from what his group could be. And they all have to go off of what Randall's saying, you know? Which is the tough part, and what makes for the most beautiful group dynamic in the show. The scene of the group having the debate is one of my favorite scenes of the whole season, whole series even, because this is one of the best seasons in my opinion, and that debate scene, I thought it was beautiful. Going on talking about group dynamic, this is my favorite one of any season, because you see that tip of them going from human to just survivor, and I love it. It's done so well. Everybody, I've heard a lot of people complain about Dale being preachy and dumb, but it works. It makes sense, because he clearly is a good person, and you see him broken by what's going on. I never found it preachy or annoying or anything like that. I thought it was well done. You know, seeing like seeing Shane say his famous line, "The right thing is what keeps us alive." And then Rick is kind of in between the two of them. Like, they're the two extremes, and then Rick is trying to figure out which side to go with. And you see him like trying to stay human, but then you also see him trying to keep the best interests of the group at heart. Another great part about it is, it mentions later on in the show, it's like good people can't live in this world anymore. Like, Enid says that sometimes. But the world is young enough now, or at least the end of the world is young enough now, that people like Dale and Herschel can still live. You know, they can still be alive and say, no, we have to be better people. Also, just a little side note, I love that Dale kind of foreshadowed his death a little bit, because he said, like, well, because he was talking to Shane, and he was like, oh, you're built for this world. And then Shane's like, oh, is that now? And he was like, yeah, even if I do die, at least I can die knowing that I didn't let the world take me down with it. Which is beautiful. I loved it. That group dynamic, though, absolutely beautiful. Now, Andrea was being Andrea, causing unnecessary drama, with all the gun stuff, and like, no, I want to help, I want to shoot. Oh, God, you're fucking annoying. Just, like, shut up. Ugh. I could go on for hours about Andrea. It wouldn't make any sense, because I'd just be rambling, but good lord. Oh, and also, Carol literally had no character arc, had no development, no anything. She was just like a whiny, bitchy mom from the beginning. I don't have a problem with Sophia. What happened with Sophia, I thought was really nice. That arc for the group was another thing, because again, it goes back to them looking out for humanity versus Shane trying to look out for the group. He doesn't want to risk the group dying to try and find Sophia when she's most likely dead, but everyone else, it's interesting. Sophia kind of symbolizes humanity in that way, or at least, like, innocence. Like, some of the groups trying to keep the innocence. They're trying to find that innocence. They're looking for Sophia, but Shane recognizes that is a waste of time. That is beautiful. That is really nice. But Carol, from the beginning, she's just, like, crying, and then angry, and then crying again, and then she's angry again. Moving on to Walker Threat. Seeing Herds for the first time was awesome. You clearly saw that, like, the group knew we don't have a fighting chance here. Because, like, the first one at the fish fry wasn't even that big, so you can't even consider it as much of a threat as, like, the season finale with the Walker with the barn burning down and all that. Or just them being on the highway, seeing the whole herd come through. You see them get smarter with killing walkers too. They realize the idiocy of just constantly firing off shots. Another reason why Andrea sucked ass. Why don't we get the guns? Where's the guns? It's like, shut the fuck up. I hate you. Guns are stupid. They should only be used in emergencies. You should know this. They are attracted to sound. They talk about that too in the first season, because Glenn is driving the car with the alarm, and then he says, like, and then they say, like, dude, you're gonna attract every walker. Yet Andrea, being the bitch that she is, wants to just be like,
Yo, give me a gun. I want a gun. That's the only way I can protect myself. It's my dad's gun.
oh, I hate you so much. But they also know that they need a new tactic for dealing with walkers other than just killing them. Clearly, because that's just an uphill battle that they won't win, because it's literally like 100 versus like 10. And they know that they can't win that. Like, every time that they see that, and you can tell that, like, they want to kill them, but they know it's not going to happen. We just got to leave. Like, that's a big big powerful moment in the season finale. Talking about that now. Season finale. The burning down of the farm and the herd coming in is just like that in-your-face action that really makes the show fun. When it lacks in some other areas like character development and writing, that in-your-face Walker action really is fun to watch, and that is like that season finale, like the season 2 finale, is just what the show needed, and I loved it. Also, the very end, the introduction of the Rictatorship, super cool, super good. It powerful, like it's not like the speech doesn't feel forced. Maybe part of that is Andrew Lincoln's acting, which he is beautiful as Rick, but it just really sets the whole show in motion from that point, showing that like Dale's dead, Shane got killed because Rick had to do what he did. Like, we can't keep our humanity anymore. Like, we gotta like toughen up and callous ourselves a little bit, which I love. So good. So this whole season, another 8 out of 10. These 2 seasons are some of my favorites, seasons 1 and 2. The show starts to slowly get worse. New characters. I didn't really care about Woodbury except for Merle. Merle I loved. I loved him in this season. First season I thought he was pretty dang good too. He wasn't that important, but he definitely gained his place in this season, and he was just as funny as the first season. What he did with Daryl's character is even better. I loved it. But everybody in Woodbury was so forgettable and unlikable. The governor was just annoying. I understand that they were trying to do like the sociopath thing with him, show that like, oh, he's fucked in the head. Like, you see him over here and he's just the nice face of just like, ooh, hello, I'm the governor. And was that Southern or black? But I just wasn't scared of him, so it didn't work. You know, when you saw him like gun down the military group, it wasn't intimidating, so he wasn't that compelling as a villain. So if anything, those moments of like showing the head and his daughter were just kind of annoying, I felt like. Andrea was still obnoxious as shit. I hate her in this season just as bad. I didn't care when she died. I didn't at all. Milton was so boring. Oh, he was bad. Just bad writing. He had no personality. Michonne, I loved her. And the prisoners were actually pretty cool. Like What was it? Tomas, Andrew, Axel, Oscar, and Big Tiny. I liked all those guys. And Tomas's and Andrew's psychotic moments I actually found more compelling than the governor's, because I actually found them scary. You know, their moments didn't feel forced. That's a big thing. It's like the governor's like psychotic moments felt forced. Maybe it was the actor that they got because he's too like soft, I guess. Maybe it was just how they wrote him. It's like they wanted to take him in a different direction, but they wanted to write him the same as in the comic. I don't know that much about the governor in the comic, but like they tried to do what he did in the comic, but give him a different personality, and it didn't work that well. It felt forced. But Tomas and Andrew didn't feel forced. Like they felt more compelling than the whole season's enemy. I should clarify that that's kind of the combination. That whole thing, because they were such important characters too. I kind of already talked about the problem with the enemy in this season. Group dynamic. You see them become the cold survivors that they are bound to become for the rest of the show. You know, not playing well with others, not taking the risks of anything like that. Like the whole debate of them keeping Axel and Oscar. Really good. Really good. There wasn't as much in-group conflict this time, except for Herschel, which could be disappointing, but it worked for the season, I felt like. You know, they weren't really like arguing about anything. Like they all knew, like they all had the same goal at this point. They all learned, hey, we gotta survive. You know, make sure that we keep the prison, make sure that we keep everybody alive. So it worked. I don't think that they really needed the in-group conflict, because they got plenty of conflict from Woodbury. So I'm alright with it. Walkers weren't much of a threat, which is actually a great thing. Because you see them become smarter killers of the walkers. You see them be tactical about it. You see that they clearly have proper technique. They have a ton of silencers, which is great. You see them plan out and strategize how they're going to kill them. And then they leave whenever a group seems to be too big. And, like, they're smart about walkers now. I loved it. But the season finale of this season sucked. It was so bad. That fight was so boring and anticlimactic as shit. I can't even say anything about it because nothing happened. It was so bad. I guess the Carl moment was okay, but I don't see why they're surprised. Like, that's the whole point of the group being the way that they are now. Like, all of them have killed a shit ton of people. And then Carl kills one person, and they're like, wait, stop. That's kind of one of the problems that leads into Season 4 that I'll talk about. But this season I would love to give a higher score, but I gotta give it a 6 out of 10. For new characters, I like the new additions to the group. The Black Crew, Bob, Tyrese, and Sasha. I like those guys. Tara, I don't want to talk about Tara. I'll talk about her later in the character discussion. But all the other former Woodbury residents that they bring in, Woodbury. I can't tell which way my accent wants to go, ever. Like, I don't feel like it's South Dakotan, but it kind of is. I don't know. Woodbury, we'll just call them that. Woodbury residents. I didn't really care about any of them. That Patrick kid, there for one episode, whatever. Mika and Lizzie, I didn't like them. They can't bring on kid actors that young. It's not... Well, actually, no, that's not true, because Judith in Season 9 was great. Those kids just, like, it was weird. Like, Judith worked because it's something that a kid could do, but I feel like with Mika and Lizzie, they tried to make them something that just, like, kids don't naturally act as. So yeah, they kind of sucked. The Washington trio, Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene, talking about them, I'm super conflicted about them. Because Abraham, I love. Rosita, I kind of feel neutral about. I don't care about her that much. And Eugene, I fucking despise so much. I'm gonna talk about that, talk about Josh McDermott. I actually just heard recently that a big issue for him was that, like, on the show, he got so many death threats for Eugene, which sucks. I'm not happy about that. Like, I hate that that had to happen to him, but that also doesn't excuse that his character was awful. He was so annoying. The way that he talks is unbearable. He's not charismatic or quirky in any like, he's just not entertaining. Eugene isn't. And so when he does the shit of, like, lying to the group, you don't empathize with him, because he just sucks dick. So yeah, I'm sorry that that happened to Josh McDermott. I really am. But Eugene was not good. He had some moments that, like, I was pretty impressed by him, but overall, he just felt really unnecessary. His goal and his character alone, or at least, like, his motivation and everything, I felt like was kind of there, you know? A dude that is too scared to live in this world, and so he lies to some people to get them to take him to a safe zone, saying that it's something else. But like, he actually put it best in the show. He was like, there was no cure. I just heard that Washington, D.C. was a great safe zone. And I was hoping that even though getting the group there wouldn't have been, there wouldn't have been a cure, hopefully they still would have gotten to payoff. That was really nice. I actually did like that. But other than that, he's annoying. He talks annoying. He does annoying things. Seeing him interact with walkers is cringy. That's really all I have to say about new characters. There weren't really other ones. Okay. Enemy of the season.
I didn't like the governor before, and I don't like him now.
That's all I have. There's nothing else to say. He's not good. Why bring him back? That was the first time I ever cheered at a death. And I'm not proud that I did that. That's such, like, a fanboy thing to do. But, also, Terminus, not intimidating at all. Maybe they were going for that? I don't know. To show that, like, oh, they're the friendly community, but they're actually psychotic cannibals. But yeah, they weren't compelling, I felt like. Like, I wasn't scared, again. I wasn't scared when they were revealed to be cannibals. That's the problem. It's like, this show really has an issue of not making the villains compelling up until the saviors. But, I actually put this down, I think that's okay. I think I can let it slide because you are starting to see that the group is not just good at handling walkers now, they're good at handling people. Like, maybe just people aren't a threat anymore to the group until the Saviors, which is just like a whole nother monster. Yeah, I think it's okay that people aren't compelling villains anymore, because, like, the group clearly, just the neck-biting scene alone, dude, that whole scene with the claimed people, that was beautiful, because you saw, like, they're not scared anymore. They can hold their own. They're beyond holding their own. They're a super group. It's almost scary to watch them sometimes. But yeah, I think it's okay that the villains are kind of weak in this season, so I'll give it some points for that. Season finale, I thought it was pretty good. I did like the cliffhanger of they're fucking with the wrong people. Or screwing, as they, because I think the fucking with the wrong people was only for the DVD release, which they could have put it on Netflix, AMC. Come on, you could have put that on there. There's been some moments where they put in some swearing that's like DVD exclusive. You could put that on Netflix. Come on, Netflix shows like fucking full penetration. You're fine. They're like the HBO of streaming services. I personally think that the whole like, where'd you get the watch? I think that could have almost been like a better cliffhanger, showing that like him having the gun to his head and then wait till next season. I think that could have almost been better. But it was still a pretty good cliffhanger. I still liked it. It just, the reason that I felt like the cliffhanger that they ended on wasn't the best one is like a lot of action happened and then it just kind of stopped and there was like, oh, wait till next season. I feel like they could have had that season finale be the season premiere and it would have been just as good. Overall this season, 5 out of 10. It was very average. Basically, I didn't give a shit about the show the first half of it. I gave a shit about it the second half. So, I gotta give it a 5 out of 10. Same with the characters. Like, half of the characters I liked, half of them I didn't. Moving on to Season 5. Talking about new characters. Although I love Gabriel, like, Season 6 onward, I didn't like him at the beginning. And I think that was the point. I don't think he was supposed to be likable. Which is kind of weird, though. I also don't want to give it points for that, because, like, you shouldn't... You can write a character to be flawed and messed up as a person, but you shouldn't write them as an unlikable character. That feels a bit unnecessary, you know? Like, that's a writing flaw. That's not a character flaw. The hospital people were fucking atrocious. Again, another group. I just hate them so much. Like, it's not like Woodbury when they were just forgettable. These guys, they're just fucking shit. I do not enjoy any of them. None of them are likable whatsoever, especially Dawn. Oh my god. Don't even get me started. I don't even want to talk about her. Noah was pretty likable, but also forgettable. I forgot about him like 2 episodes after his death. And plus, they kind of wasted a whole episode on him. And I think that was just kind of to funnel in Tyrese's death, which felt like a bit of a cop-out. But it's alright. Ooh, pause it! I forgot to say something that was really important about Season 4. Oh, okay, I'll just say it straight out. All members of the group finding each other again at the end felt like a cop-out. It felt real convenient. I can understand all of the group trying to... Like, you could argue that it's like, oh, they all saw the signs for Terminus, they all decided to go. They went on their intuition. Sure. And then, okay, maybe the termites, because they did the thing of like, where'd you get the watch? They knew that like, oh, that's their group, let's put them in A, because that's where their group is. It felt convenient, though. Like, it's like, oh, they all thought that they were dead. Like, they thought that nobody else was alive, and then they all just so happened to end up in the exact same place at the season finale. It felt a bit easy. Okay, back to Season 9. Fast forward. Alexandrians. I actually really liked them. I can understand why some people wouldn't, because they just come off as annoying, but that was the point, and I actually really liked it. It was interesting yet confusing. Like, I didn't know if I should like them, because I did, but I also didn't like them, but I didn't like them for the right reasons, and, well, because it's like, they were really pompous, and you just got that vibe from them, like, all of them saying, hey, we've lost people too. It's like, no you fucking haven't. Don't fucking flatter yourselves. You haven't done shit. Just, you've been behind a wall and some people have died. That's not shit. We've all, like, eaten people. They clearly were delusional. And, the whole point was, like, Rick's group trying to show them that. Enemy of the season. I guess the hospital people count as an enemy. Again, they sucked ass. Terminus people, like I said, the termites, not scary. But I do actually kind of like that, the Alexandrians, in a way, are an enemy to them. Even though they're, like, their people, but they're still an enemy. Because it's like, they feel like Rick's group is intruding on their lifestyle. And vice versa. So that was a really interesting dynamic, because it's like, ooh, I actually don't know who's the bad guy here. This is my second favorite group dynamic in the series, but that's not saying much, because a lot of seasons have really bad ones. But I love when the group has a conflict, like an inner conflict about how to handle the group going forward, you know? Just like Season 2 with Randall and his crew. Seeing Rick and Michonne debate about Alexandria wasn't as strong as the first one, because there weren't as many stakes. You know, you didn't feel... like, it's like both made so much sense that it wasn't really compelling, you know? It wasn't as compelling, I should say. It was still pretty compelling. But if they would have handled that debate a bit more than just an episode, I would have liked it a bit more. But yeah, this was a really good group dynamic. I liked how you could understand both sides of them. Talking about Walker threat, I mean, Carol blowing up Terminus, Aaron talking about the group, and the bridge scene. They say it all. These guys are not afraid of walkers. They are walker killers, and it is so fucking cool to me. Finale of the season. Pretty disappointing. Really nothing happened up until the Pete thing with cutting Reg's throat with the sword. And this is where the show starts to kind of lose me. It's slowly turning into like the old-timey colonial politics show rather than the zombie apocalypse show, which is pretty disappointing. And I talk about it later on a lot more in the other seasons. But Morgan coming back, holy shit. His little Easter eggs, not really Easter eggs, but like little cameos at the beginning of the season, and then him coming back finally. Great. And I didn't find him annoying. I loved that he came to the point of like, ooh, all life is precious, you know? Not willing to kill, because it makes it interesting. Because it shows that because it's not the same thing as Dale. You know, Dale was something of like, Dale was scared. You could tell he was scared, which made him vulnerable. Morgan doesn't want to kill, but he's also not afraid to fight. And that is really cool to see. You know, he can take on people, but he doesn't kill them. It disappoints me that they get rid of that dynamic in later seasons. I can see why it happened, but it just made me upset. I didn't think that they needed to do it. A big problem with TV shows is when they go on too long, they don't want characters to become stagnant. So when a character already has their arc, they gotta do their arc again, pretty much. So it's like, Morgan's a killer, Morgan's not a killer, Morgan's a killer again, Morgan's not a killer. It was kind of annoying to see that, like, wave. But that was... what was that? This hand is much better. Wave. Okay, yeah. Moving on, though. So, yeah. That season finale, pretty bad. This season, I'll give a 4 out of 10. You can see that the seasons are kind of... or at least, like, these last seasons have not been that good, in my opinion. New characters. Jesus was a pretty cool addition. I really like Jesus. Hilltop was... nah. Jesus says your world's about to get a whole lot bigger. I can't tell if I love that or if it terrifies me. Because I just kind of get that feeling of them kind of losing the core of what the show is, which is survival of zombies. You know? You can, like... I'm sure that it's tougher to figure out how to carry that on, but it can work. But this is where the show starts to just kind of like change into a different show. Like I said before, it's more like colonial politics now. But we'll discuss that more in Season 7. Bottom line, I felt pretty skeptical about the introduction of Hilltop. Going on to Enemy, I loved the wolves. I fucking loved them. I didn't really like empathize with their message that much, which is okay though. It's like, I don't empathize with it, but I can see what they are saying, and they have a purpose. I may not understand the purpose myself, but they have a purpose, and that's enough, because they're fucking terrifying. Like, they're scary. Like, they're just clearly, it's not even, because they bring it from a place of, like, oh, we're freeing you, but they, like, mutilate people. They are cruel. That's terrifying. And it goes back to the thing of, like, oh, they said before the walls won't let anything in, but they've got those beams outside that people can shimmy up, and they got inside, and that's, oh, that's scary. I love them, and I hate that they were only around for one episode, pretty much. And the introduction of the Saviors and Negan. Man, what is there to say? It was perfect. They're grounded enough that they don't seem goofy like the Termites or Grady Memorial, but they were scary. They're like a force of organized chaos, if that makes any sense. Saviors are great. Wolves were great. Enemies in this season were awesome. For group dynamic, they didn't really focus on the group, which wasn't going back to the thing of, like, they're losing the core of the show. Like, the group is the core, and they're starting to move on from that, make it, like, bigger scale, which is kind of disappointing. Like, so much was going on with Saviors, Hilltop, Wolves, that herd breaking in. They don't focus on the group, which was a bit sad. Carl's eye moment took his character in a really cool direction, in my opinion. You know, making him, like, before he was trying to be, like, the heart of the group, but, like, after experiencing that, he kind of becomes colder. I like it. Also, I should say that, like, there was, like, they didn't completely not focus on the group. They did focus on the group, but it was more just, like they didn't do it that much. But seeing the group conflict over killing the Saviors, that was nice, you know. Seeing Rick and Morgan debate throughout the whole season was really nice to see. You know, going back to the thing of Morgan is still a good survivor, but he's got a completely different outlook on things compared to the other group, and that's really cool to see. But that's really the extent of the group's dynamic, which is not okay, but it's whatever. Obviously, I can't do anything about it. Even though I said what I said about the group handling the walkers no problem, the herd getting into Alexandria was awesome. It was intense and gripping, and I never looked away for a second. I didn't even like Ron and his family, or like Jesse's family, but seeing them die was like, seeing a kid get eaten was kind of gruesome. I was like, oh shit, but I didn't feel it was unnecessary, you know? That's a good thing about the show, is like, they have a lot of gore and violence, but it never feels trashy or in poor taste. Season finale, by far the best finale of the series, in my opinion. I never had a problem with the cliffhanger. Everybody did, or at least not everybody, but some people got really pissed off about the cliffhanger. I didn't find it as an issue. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan, fucking flawless as Negan. He's so good. They couldn't have gotten a better guy. Also, side note, some of the extra episodes that they're doing for season 10, they actually, like, they're doing a backstory for Negan, showing his real wife, Lucille. They cast Jeffrey Dean Morgan's wife, and that is the cutest thing ever. I love that. But, just talking about the Saviors, like, the slow build-up to, like, seeing how much of a threat they are, because it starts off with you just seeing them beating up a guy and, like, talking a big game, but then you see them, like, use walkers, and then you hear their whistle, and then they start to, like, block off each individual road to get to Hilltop. Oh, it sends chills down my spine. It's so good. It was an amazing episode, and by far an even better finale for a season. So good. Again, cliffhanger. I thought it was great. I never had a problem with it. It just got me thinking. I was like, who are they going to get rid of? Like, everybody that's there is important enough. Like, who are they going to get rid of? It was good, in my opinion. That season, 7 out of 10. The show was starting to get it back. This is one of my favorite seasons. But they start to lose it quick, fast. New characters. Kingdom was pretty cool. Ezekiel, I loved how he revealed, like, I'm just an actor, man. Like, I'm full of shit. When you find out later that he was a zookeeper, I loved that. Like, that's how he got the tiger. Shiva, absolutely badass. You can't change my mind. I don't care if the CGI looked like shit at sometimes, which it did. Oh, but the garbage people were fucking atrocious. Dude, you can have a hipster group of artists that live in a dump. That idea is actually really cool. Oh god, how did I list it here? They were the most annoying, boring, unnecessary, and cringy characters in the show, and I hate them. They were so bad. That's really it for new characters. I wish that it was just people like the Kingdom. Oh, Jerry. Jerry's awesome. I have no problem with Jerry. I never did. Moving on to Enemy. It's tough to say, but the Saviors just get kind of worse in this season compared to how they were in the Season 6 finale, you know? Let's put it in the analogy of the Saviors are like the beady eyes that you see in the dark corner of your room as a kid when the lights are off. And all you got over there in the opposite side of the room is your nightlight. That's all that you can see. Over there, you see a set of eyes. You know that something is there, and it wants to kill you. You don't know what it can do. And that's what's terrifying about it. But let's just say in Season 7, you turned on the light, and you saw it, and it's just like a big green lagoon monster. Which, like, it still looks scary, but it's not as scary because you lose that element of mystery, you know? Let's put it this way. In Season 6, they had the fear element because you didn't know who they are and what they were capable of because you never met Negan yet. Season 7, you lose that fear and you have no humanity to them. Like, you don't flesh them out. Season 8, they get more fleshed out, but, like, Season 7 is the weak point for the Saviors. Which kind of sucks because, like, they're just assholes. But I think that's alright because, again, this season is focusing on Rick coming back, you know, becoming the man who he was, no longer being broken by Negan. That's the whole point of this season, which is okay, you know? I just wish that the Saviors were a bit better. And that's a perfect segue into the group dynamic. Seeing the group go from broken and weak and grieving to finally getting themselves together to win and put back in the Rictatorship. It's phenomenal. It's so satisfying to watch. It may not be the most, like, unique writing or exciting writing, but it's just so good to watch. You're just so happy when you see that whole group, like, walk up to the hilltop at the mid-season finale. Okay, talking about the show. Alright, we've been talking about the show. Talking about the Walker threat. Let's face it, at this point, it's not about walkers anymore, which makes me sad. The show's just kind of become, like, it seems like at this point they throw in walkers so that the show isn't dystopian colonial village people, so that they can still keep the title Walking Dead. Like, walkers just feel forced at this point. I even heard someone say at one point, like, if there are this many people that can kill herds as big as they do, how the hell are there still walkers around? Well, actually, no, never mind, take that back. That doesn't make sense. Because when people die, they become one. So, like, if they're survivors, there's gonna be walkers. Yeah, that was stupid. Why did someone say that? I think that was MatPat. Why did MatPat say that? Dude, MatPat sucks. But yeah, that's sad to see with walkers. Like, it's not that I'm sad that they don't have walkers as much anymore. It's almost understandable, but they just, like, throw them in. Like when you see the big herd that they have coming up, it's like, was that really there, or did you put that there? That's what it feels like. Now, season finale. I understand that this finale wasn't the all-out war finale. I get that, but it felt like they couldn't come up with a proper finale that led into all-out war, so they basically just made a half-assed all-out war. If it were me, the way that I would do this season is I would stretch it out, and I wouldn't, because what happens is the first half of the season is Rick figuring out that, like, we need to fight, and then the next half of the season is him recruiting the other people to fight. What I think would have been really nice is have the whole season dedicated to these like, okay, so first half, everybody's broken because they saw what Negan can do. Have the communities, Hilltop, Kingdom, Alexandria, come together and say, we need to fight, without Rick. Without Rick right now, okay? Just bear with me on this. Then the next season is them trying to convince Rick. And then maybe, like, second half of the season, have Negan kill some more people, so that is kind of Rick's tipping off point, and like, season finale is that moment of, like, Rick putting the gun back into the holster, and them all figuring out, let's fight. So then it cleanly leads into them preparing for all-out war, starting to plan their strategies and stuff like that, and then you could maybe even have like a clean cut between like season 7 could end with that shot of Rick with the sunlight behind him, and then season 8 could pick back up, and then he gives his speech of like, we've already won. That would have been so good. But yeah, it's all just about like that finale. The thing is, with how they structured it, I can't think of a better one. So I think what would have been best was my idea, which is like, make it all about trying to get Rick on board, because the first episode of season 7 is all about him breaking Rick. This whole season should be about building Rick back up. I think that would have been really good. And so like, have some episodes of like Michonne saying like, no, Rick, we need to fight, and he's like, I'm not losing you anymore. We're not doing it. My Southern is black for some reason. We're not doing it no more. We're not doing it anymore. There we go, that's better. That was kind of shit, but it's closer to Rick. So yeah, this season started out super strong, but it ended really weak. 4 out of 10 again. Talking about new characters, the only new character I can really remember is Sadiq, which he's okay. I don't care about Sadiq. He's another Noah. He didn't do anything bad. I just don't care. Like, I feel like they forced in the thing that he's got medical background so that they can give him a purpose. Because other than that, he doesn't do anything other than like bang Rosita later on. But I don't think that it is the focus of the new season, because the season is all about Alexandrians, Hilltop, and Kingdom fighting the Saviors. So they don't really need new characters, which was kind of weird that they brought in Sadiq in the first place. Maybe he was almost a plot convenience for Carl's death. I kind of feel like it, which we will talk about that. Good fucking lord. Enemy. Talking about the Saviors. They got their mojo back. It's like I said, they're not necessarily scary again, but they're more fleshed out and they're human. You see them fight over stuff. You see Simon be power hungry and Dwight start to side with the other guys, and you see some of the Saviors not happy with what they're doing, but they're doing it because they care about Negan. You can almost empathize with both groups, which I love. I love the ambiguity of morality in stories. That's always a great thing to do. Like, having the debate of like which side is right, or at least understanding where the enemy is coming from. I really like it. Going back to the analogy, it's kind of like the monster that you saw at the end of your bed showed its fear of the color yellow, which is all over your blanket, and you see it like shriek and quiver and like hide in the corner again. And you see another side of that monster, which almost makes you care for it in a weird way. You saw how Negan reacted when he heard Carl die. You saw when he saw Lucille almost get taken away. When he told Gabriel about his wife. Those were really nice moments, and I like that they did that with the Saviors this time, because it makes the finale that they did have pretty dang good. Group dynamic, I'm not going to talk about the group dynamic. I don't care. Why the fuck would you kill off Carl? I don't care that characters die. I don't. But you killed the character with the most potential and value to the show. He could have carried the show with Judith. But no, you wanted to kill him off, Scott Gimple, for shock factor? Fuck you. That was the dumbest thing you could have done for the show. You had no reason to, other than to sweep the audience off their feet. I'm glad you got fired. I'm glad it's somebody else in the show. That was the worst decision ever. I'm not a Carl fanboy. He annoyed me sometimes. But why would you kill him off? You couldn't kill off Rick. I don't care. Kill off somebody. That was just horrible. Ugh. Don't kill off Carl. Moving on to Walker threat. Again, it just goes back to like, at the end of All Out War, you see like that herd behind them where he's like, they're the real threat, not us. That felt like you're just putting walkers there to keep it as The Walking Dead. Now, the finale worked for how they ended the show, but I will discuss that in another part. I'll discuss that in like my positives and negatives. I'm not even going to go through the whole thing of like the list. I watched up to like 6 episodes after Rick left, and then I just didn't watch anymore. Because I hated this season. I understand that Andrew Lincoln wanted to leave, and I don't blame him for leaving. But this was Rick's show. It was Rick's show. It was Rick's and Carl's show. They took out the focus of the show. Both characters that were the focus. And then they bring in new characters that I just don't care about. And seeing how the show changed from the survival show that it was from season 1 to 8, and now it's officially the village colonial thing, and I hate it. I don't like it. This season gets a 2.5 out of 10. I'm giving it that half because I like Rick in it, but other parts I just maybe not even 2.5, just 2. It's a 2 out of 10. Rick is the only good part about this season. Jadis or Anne was kind of cool. I do like that Gabriel, it's weird to call him Gabe, like he's like a 12-year-old. But Gabriel was cool. I liked him in this season. Again, saying I didn't like him at the beginning, but I like him now. So, that's all the individual seasons reviewed. I'll get the averages taken up. I haven't actually done the calculation yet, so I'm going to use my calculator on my phone. Oh, I never gave a score for season 8. We'll give that I would say a 6, but 4 because they killed off Carl. Damn, show's straight average 5.4 out of 10. Damn, we'll round that up to 5.5. Yeah, that's how I feel about the show, but again, that will be discussed later on. Moving on to characters. These are the characters that I found to be the most important, so I'm not going to speak about every character, of course. These are the ones that I felt had the biggest impact on the show. Again, didn't like them. They just had a big impact. Rick. Dude, again, like I said, Rick was the show. This was Rick's show. It started with him. It should have ended with him. I loved his arc. I never felt annoyed with Rick, you know? I never had a moment. I had a moments where I disagreed with him, but I never disliked him. I loved how he changed. You saw him be just a regular dad, a nice southern man, to a fucking monster. Carl, I can understand why people didn't like him. He had some annoying moments, but I loved him. He was such a good character. He was so important to the show, too. I don't want that to seem like that's the only reason why I like him is because of what he added to the show. But I did actually like him. I'll definitely call him out when he did some shitty stuff, but I liked the person that he was, and I liked the dynamic that he gave to Rick, the dynamic that he gave to the group of being the kid, you know? Like, he was the only kid. I do gotta say, I don't like what they did with his character not wanting to kill, but again, I feel like they only did that because to lead up to his death. It felt out of the blue. Like, he had no problem with killing, and then he was just like, wait, no, stop, Dad, we can't kill. We can't, we gotta love them. That was, like, that felt forced. That wasn't Carl. That was bad writing because Scott Gimple wanted some shock factor and wow factor to kill off the kid. Who the fuck kills off the kid? Daryl? Great character. I don't really understand how he got as much praise as he did throughout the show. But he's a great character. Great arc, you know? You see him change with the world. He's a great symbol of what this world does to you. Like, he's broken. He's lost the people closest to him, except for Carol, which is really nice. Moving on, Carol. Same thing. That's actually a really nice relationship because Carol and Daryl have kind of lost everybody close to them except for each other, except for Ezekiel. I really like their relationship and their dynamic. Both of those characters are really good. Glenn. Glenn was really underutilized in the show. Kind of made me sad. He was kind of an afterthought. They never really did anything with Glenn, which upset me. After season 2, they didn't do shit with Glenn. And he even talked about that. He kind of became depressed after the show because he felt like Glenn was a waste of time. Which I can't blame him, though, because now that I think about it, it's like, oh yeah, he never really did anything in the show except for be a simp to Maggie. Maggie, the first time around, I didn't like Maggie. No, I loved Maggie. this time around, she was kind of annoying. I didn't like her that much. She got too much screen time. Glenn got too little. I think that was a big problem for me. That's another thing too. I didn't really like Carol at first. I thought that she was annoying post Sophia. I don't know why I did. She was great. Seasons like 3 to 8, she was great. I loved her. She felt genuine, you know? Maggie didn't feel genuine. Shane. I'm going to talk about Shane. Everybody hated him. Not everybody. People didn't like him that much. People found him to be an asshole. I understood him. I empathized with Shane a lot. Everybody just tries to say, oh, he was the asshole that wanted to kill Rick. No, no, no. He said it at one point. Don't you remember when they were going to kill Randall, or at least like leave him out in the parking lot? He said to Rick, I don't think you can keep him safe. By the way, he was right. That's a really cool moment, by the way. But he was like, I don't think you can keep him safe. And then Rick fought him, and then he fought back. People are blaming Shane for that. I don't blame either of them, but don't blame Shane. And then with Otis, people try to be like, oh, he's an asshole to kill Otis. No, no, no. Okay, he was willing to let himself die. Otis said, no, you're coming with me. Shane understood that both of them couldn't go. If both of them went, neither of them were going to get back to the farm. One of them had to stay behind. Otis wouldn't let Shane be that person, so he killed Otis. It is understandable. And plus, everybody became Shane pretty much later on in the show. And people still hate Shane. I don't get it. Lori is the one that fucking made Shane go off the deep end. I blame Lori 100% for all of the problems with Shane. She's next up on the list. We're going to talk about her. Worst character. Fucking terrible. I didn't talk about her a lot at the beginning. Going through the seasons. She was atrocious. She flip-flopped on every single issue. She was so contradictory, caused so much unnecessary drama. At least when Andrea caused drama, she stuck with the one thing. She didn't change herself a ton. Okay. She didn't want her family... And I understand that they explain it. Okay, sure, they explain it. That doesn't mean it makes sense. It doesn't make sense. She didn't want her kid to die at the CDC. She wants him to not live once he gets shot. Okay, you don't want your son to live in this world, yet there's a girl that wants to kill herself and you insist on her living? What the fuck? Why is Beth more important than Carl to you? And then she wanted Rick to kill Shane because she was like, you'd be willing to kill... You killed someone so that your family could live? He's like, yeah. And then she starts to... Shane thinks I'm his. You might want to do something about it. He kills Shane. She looks at Rick like a monster. Oh my god. I watched back on my Lori Grimes chatterbox. I don't feel any fucking different. She's horrible. She flip-flops. And when Rick came back, she was like, my husband is back. And since my husband is back...
You can never talk to me or my son ever again. Don't look at my family. Don't talk to my family. You and I are done. I hate you. Don't ever talk to my son again. He is not yours to talk to. My son is off limits. You bitch. You bitch Shane. You had a big dick. You were good. But fuck you. Fuck you. You said my husband died. Even though you thought he actually did die. Even though you told me that. I know you weren't lying. But you told me he died. So fuck you.
Bitch, you're the reason that Shane went crazy. It's you. You're the problem. And maybe it wouldn't be as bad if Sarah Wayne Callies didn't defend her righteously. Why do you care? There's not a problem with women in the show. People love Michonne. They love Maggie. They love Carol. They don't like you. It's not because of women. It's because you're shit. Negan. Oh, best villain. It's like he has a new world order that kind of makes sense, but he lets his ego take over. I am the savior here. I am the cure to this world. But you don't get mad at him for being a narcissist. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is so charming as him. That makes Negan 10 times better. I don't think that he would have been as good if it were another actor. I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan was the savior to Negan's character. Again, I said it, Washington Trio, very conflicting. Like it balances out to neutral, because I love Abraham, don't care about Rosita, fucking hate Eugene. Morgan, great character. Again, he would have had such a good arc if they didn't take the show on for too long and fuck with his arc like the way that he did. Killer, not Killer. Killer again. Oh, I don't want to kill anymore, so I gotta leave. What? Michonne? I don't got much to say. She's great. You know, she never left any strong feelings in me. Michonne, fucking beautiful, great couple. But she had a great arc, and I really appreciated that arc. But I never had any strong feelings towards her, you know? I didn't like her as much as Rick. And it's not that, like, she did anything bad, I just didn't feel as strong about her, you know? Beth, I hate you. You're the worst. You're so annoying. Like, yeah, you had your moments. They work on paper. Maybe it's the actress. Because the parts where she was in, she was so annoying. I didn't... You know how much of a chore it was to watch the Grady Memorial parts just because I don't like you? Maybe it is the actress. I'm sorry. Like, I don't like to insult people for their acting. I understand it's hard. But, again, you signed up for it. It's voluntary. People are bound to criticize you. The acting wasn't that good. And Beth was annoying as shit. Hey, Daddy said we don't cry. I don't cry. And stop singing! No one likes your singing. Andrea, again, caused drama when it wasn't necessary. Was a dick to people. I hated her. Just like, she made it high school. Just, whenever people do that, they're bullshit. Black Crew, Tyrese, Sasha, and Bob. They were pretty good, you know? Again, like, I didn't think much about Bob or Tyrese after they left. Didn't think much about Sasha after she left. But they were good characters when they were there, you know? Didn't leave the strongest impact. But that's okay. They were B-level characters, and that's alright. You need those too. And they worked really good as them. Herschel, kind of like an evolved Dale. I liked it. Like, he knew how to survive. He's kind of like Morgan in that sense. Like, he knows how to survive. He just refuses to kill. It's just really unfortunate that he was the one that had to die, you know? I think it would have been cool to keep the dynamic of old guy and kid there. Dale, again, Dale was like the precursor to Herschel, which I like. Again, I never had a problem with Dale. He was such a good guy. I empathize with him so hard. And I can understand why the actor left too. That's another thing that makes me sad, is he had a really good connection with the showrunner, but the showrunner left, so he was like, I'm not going to be a part of this if the showrunner ain't there, if Frank Darabont isn't there. That's commendable. I like that. T-Dog, super underutilized. He's like the wolves of the main group. Great actor. The actor was fantastic. I loved Tyrone Singleton. He was so good as T-Dog. And T-Dog was funny and good, and he had his moments of being a really good member to the group. But they didn't know how to write him, and they killed him off. You know, if they wrote him better, Tyrone Singleton would have been the pinnacle of the show. One of them. I'll say one of them. Tara, I never gave a shit about Tara. It's not that I don't dislike her, but I don't like her. She's just the most boring, unnecessary character. Kind of annoying. She's kind of obnoxious. Yeah, I never found her charismatic. Abraham, perfect. Abraham had obnoxious moments, but they were enjoyable. Like, it's a good obnoxious. It's like that one friend. It's like the one friend that makes a shit ton of jokes, and like, you're like, oh bro, shut the fuck up, but you also don't want him to. You want him to keep joking around. You'll miss his jokes if they're gone. Not gonna miss Tara's. Governor, I said it before, he was boring, and then they overused him to the point where I hated him. It's like a Katy Perry song. It's just average, you don't care about it, and then you hear it 1,000 times everywhere you go, and it's like, okay, now I hate it, because you overplayed it. That's the Governor. The Governor's a fucking Katy Perry song. Aaron, like I said, he was pretty good, you know, pretty safe. You know, he had his good character moments, but not too much change. But it didn't need to be there, you know. There was plenty of there was the rest of the group that had enough change. I do love that he adopted Gracie. That was really nice. And I like that he kind of carries on the legacy of Old Man Rick, you know? Big beard, got the fake hand. That's really cool to me. Gabriel. Again, he got better as the show went on. Not much to say. Really incompetent. I didn't have a problem with his incompetence. It annoyed me. But I didn't want him off the show. If that says anything. I like what they did with him, making him stronger. Even like he still says, I'm a man of God, and I sin. But these are my family, and I've got the courage to stand up for my family. I really like Judith. I do like that they are carrying on what they should have done with Carl with Judith. That was the one, I was going to say that before, that was the one saving grace of Carl being gone, is that they revived Judith in a really cool way. Her having, like, the sword, her having the hat, her dad's gun. I love it. I really did like Judith. I didn't think I would. When I saw that it was like a little girl trying to be all badass, I found it cringy at first, like forced. But she actually works out really well in season 9, and I like her. That's all that I got on my list for characters, so that's what I gotta say. If you could tell, characters were half and half. I either loved them or I hated them. And that's just kind of how it goes with this show. Discuss positives and negatives of the show. Unscripted. These are the ones that I can bring to my own head. Positives. Their concept for zombies is really cool. I really like it. The idea that it's an airborne virus so that everybody has it and you can't avoid it ever. Real easy to kill them. It's not like the Last of Us ones. I understand that they tried to make them like a bigger threat, but it's too complicated on killing them. You know, you got to do a lot to kill them. Walking Dead, it's simple. Get the brain. That is it. Acting in the show, really, really good. Acting is really good. Except for you know who the fuck I'm talking about. That's right, you fucking Patricia. The focus of the show, I loved that the focus was the group dynamic. You know, like I've heard people complain that it's like, oh, the show's always the same thing, you know. Group finds a home gets overrun by walkers, they go and find another home, that one gets overrun by walkers, and they cycle. It worked, though, because the group changed with it. It wasn't their, like, safe zone that was the focus, or the walkers that were the focus. It was the group becoming survivors, which is why the show started to lose me once they, like, became colonies and societies and stuff. Again, they just had some really cool action. One thing that I do love about the show, they weren't going for the typical apocalypse story. They made this more like Wild West. You know, like you could tell throughout the shit, like at least at the beginning. They started to lose it. You know who the fuck I'm talking about. It was focusing on losing the law. You see that, like, literally visually in Rick is always trying to wear his police uniform, but as the group becomes more broken and cold and survival forward, he doesn't wear it anymore, and that is so cool to me. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't other positives, but those are the major ones that I can think of. Now, negatives. Biggest one, the writing in this show just seemed kind of off. The writing, it seemed like the show really took plot conveniences to make the show better, when the writing suffered because of it. It kind of sucked. Like, characters would do things that didn't make sense for their character. Convenient things would happen to the characters that wouldn't really be that realistic. The walkers are the most confusing zombies. Like, the concept of the walkers really works, but what they actually do, like, they can play dead, they can open they can work doorknobs, but also if they see a railing, they just walk over it and fall into holes. Like, what are the walkers? Villains became a little less compelling, and I understand that that wasn't the focus, but it almost seemed like they focused on them a bit too much. I will say that it did sometimes feel like they did kind of spin their wheels a little bit, and I don't like how they changed the show, becoming a completely different thing. Biggest thing, the show went on for too long. And it's funny because Scott Gimple even talks now saying like, yeah, we ended the show a bit too early, I feel like. No, dude, the show's been going on for 11 seasons. That's enough. Friends didn't even have a plot, and that went on for too long. Like, you guys are suffering from this. You could tell why Andrew Lincoln left. The show was going on for too long. If the main character wants to leave because he misses his family, it's too long, man. The show is becoming something that it just should not become. And I understand that they wanted to put in the Whisperers, even though the Whisperers suck in the show. They're cool for 2 episodes and then they're not. Okay? They are not cool. The show goes on for just too long. I've got my idea for how they should have ended the show. End the show with all-out war. Have Negan actually die. Okay? Have all the saviors die. Saviors are gone. Okay? Then, all those communities, Kingdom, Hilltop, Alexandria, they reunite and have a good-ass time. They maybe even throw a party. But you see that Rick is broken. You see that he's, like, distraught because he went against Carl's wishes. So the show just ends on that note. Don't end the show on a positive note. End it on that note of everybody's happy, but then you see Rick, and he's like, I betrayed him. That's it. Cut. It's done. That's the end of the show. That would have been perfect. Because the show just went on for too long. And losing Rick and Carl was a huge detriment to the show. I understand that people have to die. I get it. But not those guys. Come on. You could have picked anybody to die. Okay, I understand they can't actually fire guns in the show, but you can't teach people what recoil is? Do you know how many people I've seen fire guns and they do this? Have you seen those videos of people like holding like a shotgun or just like a rifle and it fucking kicks back and like hits them in the teeth? Recoil is a real fucking thing. Dude, handguns fucking go like they like hurt your arm after a while. You don't just, especially the fucking Colt Python. Judith was sitting there holding it, and she just went like, oh, pff, pff. The only time that you slightly saw guns move was because the blanks were firing. And, like, you just saw that. Like, what the fuck? That's not how guns work. Teach people how guns work. It really broke the immersion for me watching the show when they did that. It was... The guns felt like toys, and it pissed me off. I don't even know guns that well, but I know that you'll fucking lose an eye if you hold it wrong. Those are my biggest things with the show, though. The show went on for too long, and the writing is just kind of bad. And those, like, make the show suffer. So now, I gotta get into it. I gotta discuss my like, final take of the show. My final lemon count for The Walking Dead. 5.5 out of 10. I love the show, but I also hate the show. The show has had such a big impact on me, but it's just done so many things that are wrong, you know? It's done so many things that just don't make sense for the show. They shouldn't have done those things. Show had a lot of potential to really be good, but when you drag it on for too long and figure out the writing, please, that was the biggest thing. It's like as we see, half of the things I was so excited about, but the other half I just hated, or I gave no fucks about, because the writing just wasn't there. There were so many characters that were just written poorly. You can have a bad character, don't have a bad written character. Have a bad... Okay, let's word it better. You can have a bad person. You shouldn't have a bad character. A character is in the writing, you know? A person is in the acting and the interaction with the other characters and how he's presented to the audience. Don't have a poorly written character. And so many of this show just felt like conveniences for the sake of action. I like the action, but what they sacrificed for the action, I didn't like that much. Part of me loves this show. Part of me hates it. I can understand why people hate this show. I can understand why people love this show. And because of both of those things, I just end up feeling very average about the show. This show used to be my favorite show of all time, and then Rick died. And I saw the route that they were taking with the show. And I just felt like, this show's run its course. It needs to stop. It's funny, there was that article I think someone wrote. I never read it, I just saw a picture of it, but it was like The Walking Dead is about to take an exciting turn for all 4 people still watching. That's true, though. People don't watch it. People aren't excited about it. It's a small... like, it's still, I think, the biggest show on cable, But that's not saying a lot. That's like saying, oh, I've got the biggest newspaper around. I think that's pretty much it, though. Gosh, this... I'm winded. Almost lightheaded. Guys, that's The Walking Dead. I feel really good about doing this. It almost feels weird. It's kind of bittersweet for me, because I feel like I've officially closed a chapter on something really big in my life. But that is it, guys. Gosh, I thank you so much for watching this long. The raw footage is almost 2 hours. I don't know how editing is going to go. It's probably going to stay near that long because I didn't have a lot of bloopers or like unnecessary chunks. But yeah, that was me, Zeke, reviewing The Walking Dead. I will be back with other Sour Cinemas later, and I hope you enjoyed. We will see all of you next time. Bye.